Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today I would like to discuss about radioactivity. Now, what is radioactivity? It turns out that we have certain elements that have sort of unstable nucleus. You know what the nucleus of an atom is. So an atom is composed of something called the nucleus at the center. And the nucleus is composed of protons and neutrons. Surrounding those protons and neutrons, we have something called the electrons. So these electrons revolve around the protons and neutrons. But if these protons and neutrons become unstable, it emits certain radiation with a release of energy to attain stability. Now, that release of energy to attain stability is what brings us to radioactivity. So radioactivity is the spontaneous decay or disintegration of the nucleus of an atom with the release of alpha, beta, and gamma radiation, accompanied with energy. We have several radioactive elements. We have polonium, we have radium, we have rhenium, to name a few. So next, I would like to discuss about the alpha, the beta, and the gamma particle. The alpha particle is known as the helium particle. The helium has a mass number of 4 and atomic number of 2. The mass number is just simply the sum of the total proton and the neutron in the nucleus. And the atomic number is just the number of protons in the nucleus. So the alpha particle is a positively charged particle. A positively charged particle of helium. The next type of particle I would like to discuss about is the beta particle. Now, the beta particle is a negatively charged particle. It is the electron. It has a very negligible mass and a negative charge. So it is a negatively charged particle. Now, the last type of radiation is not really a particle. It is an electromagnetic wave. It is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's called the gamma radiation. And the gamma radiation has the highest penetration power compared to the other two. The beta radiation is a fast radiation, and the alpha radiation has higher speed. It has high speed, but it is positively charged. And the beta particle is negatively charged. But the alpha radiation is not a particle. It is an electromagnetic wave. Next, I would like to talk about the types of radioactivity we have. So we have natural radioactivity. Natural radioactivity. Natural radioactivity and artificial radioactivity. So the natural radioactivity is the radioactivity I discussed earlier. It is pertaining elements that are naturally radioactive. So when you have a naturally radioactive element, it is a natural or a case of natural radioactivity. But there are certain cases or certain conditions where we can force a natural element to become radioactive. Now, the act of forcing a natural element to become radioactive by bombarding it with neutrons and deuterium particles is called artificial radioactivity. It is a way of converting a natural or a stable element to a radioactive element. So those are the two types of radioactivity we have. Next, I would like to discuss about nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. In nuclear energy, we have two types of nuclear energy. We have nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Now, nuclear fission, from the word fission, is the splitting of a heavy nuclide into two approximately equal nuclei with a release of energy. So that is nuclear fission. Suppose you have a nuclei. Nuclei is the plural of nucleus. So you have a nucleus, a heavy nucleus. This heavy nucleus can be split into two approximately equal nucleus, or nuclei rather, since they are now two, which is a plural. So two approximately equal nuclei. So the process of splitting this nucleus is what we call nuclear fission. And it turns out that we require a tremendous amount of energy to split a nucleus. The amount of energy, in fact, to split a nucleus is about 10 to the power 6 times of the energy it takes to remove an electron from its valence shell. So it takes about 10 to the power 6 times of that energy. So you can see the amount of energy required to split or to combine a nucleus is actually more than the ionization energy it takes to remove an electron from its valence shell. Next, I will talk about nuclear fusion. So nuclear fusion, unlike nuclear fission, is the combination of two light nuclei into a single nuclei with a release of energy. So it is like the opposite of this process. So when these two light nuclei merge into one, that process is known as nuclear fusion. So this is nuclear fusion. The fusing of two light nuclei. And that is the process that goes on in the sun. The fusing of nuclei, helium particles and hydrogen particles. So that fusing of the nuclei is what creates the energy of the sun. So the sun uses nuclear fusion as well. And this equation here also demonstrates nuclear fusion. So this is deuterium, it's an isotope of hydrogen, and this is tritium, which is also an isotope of hydrogen. Now, what an isotope is an isotope is an atom of the same element that has the same number of protons, but different mass number. Or you can say an isotope is an atom of the same element that has equal protons, but different number of neutrons. So this is an isotope of hydrogen. This is another isotope of hydrogen. Now, using nuclear fusion, fusing both nucleuses of this isotope, we have an alpha particle. So this helium here is an alpha particle with combining also with a neutron. A neutron is neutrally charged. It has no charge at all, with a release of energy. Now, you can see a sort of symmetry here. The mass number on both sides has to be equal. It always has to be that case for the equation to be balanced. The atomic number as well always has to be equal. If I sum 2 and 3, I'll get 5. So here I have 5 for the mass number. If I sum 4 and 1, I would get 5 as well. So the mass number is balanced. If I sum 1 and 1, I would get 2. If I add 2 and 0, I would get 2 as well. So the atomic number is also balanced. Now, this process here is also a process of radioactivity. So the radium element is split into helium element and radon with a release of energy. The reason why radioactivity happens is because of the instability of the nucleus. So the nucleus needs to give away or release energy and certain types of radiation and particles like alpha and beta particles in order to attain stability. So this is the element's way of attaining stability. So it released an alpha particle, radon element, and the release of energy. Now you can also see that symmetry we checked here, that we have a mass number of 226. So let us see if we would get the same. So 4 plus 222 will give us 226. So the mass number here is balanced. We have an atomic number of 88 for radium. We have the sum of 2 and 86 to give us what? 88. So the atomic number is also balanced. So this chemical equation is correct, just like this one. So next, I would like to discuss about something called the decay constant and the half-life. Now, it turns out that the rate at which a radioactive element will decay, the rate at which a radioactive element will decay is directly proportional to the number of atoms present in that, or initially present in that radioactive element. So the more atoms present in that radioactive element, the faster it will decay. The less atom present, the slower it will decay. Now, since this is a variation equation, converting it to normal equation, we would have a constant. And now that constant is something we call the decay constant. So the decay constant comes from the fact that the rate of decay of a radioactive element is directly proportional to the number of atoms initially present in that element. So this is the expression we get after that, or due to that variation. And also, there is something called half-life. So what is half-life? Half-life is the time it takes for half of the atoms present in the radioactive element to decay. So the time it takes for half of the elements or half of the atoms present in that element to disintegrate. So that is what we call half-life. And it is denoted as T. And the relationship between half-life and the decay constant is given by so this is the relationship between half-life and the decay constant. So in the next video, I'll be solving some questions on radioactivity. Thank you. So here I have a question that says, a radioactive sample initially contains N atoms. If three half-lives, after three half-lives, the number of atoms that have disintegrated is. So how do we go about this problem? For one half-life, half of that atom would have disintegrated. So half would have disintegrated or decayed. For two half-lives, half of the initial one that has disintegrated, that is, half of the previous one, would have decayed. So for three half-lives, half of the previous one would have decayed. So you can see the idea that for one half-life, like I defined half-life earlier, half-life is the time it takes for half of the initial mass or atoms in the radioactive element to decay. So one half-life simply means half of the atoms have decayed. For two half-lives, half of the previous or the initial atom present in the radioactive element would have decayed. And the same thing for three half-lives, half of the initial mass would have also decayed. So, but in the question here, we are asked to find the number of atoms that have decayed. That is the total number of atoms now that have decayed. So it turns out that the total number of atoms that have decayed is the sum of all the ones that have previously decayed. So the total number of atoms that have decayed would be the sum of each for the three half-lives. So we have n/2 for the first one, and for the second one, we have n over multiplying 2. 2 times 2, that gives us 4 here, plus for the last one, we have 2 times 2 times 2, which gives us 8. So we have n/8 is equal to using the LCM, which is 8. 2 here gives me 4, so I have 4n plus 4 here gives me 2, so I have 2n. 8 here gives me 1, so I have n. So this is 4n plus 2n plus n, which is 7n. So that is 7n over 8. So the sum of all the decayed mass is 7n over 8. And this is how we solve for a question like this. Now, for the next problem, a radioactive element has a decayed constant of 0.077 per second. Calculate its half-life. If you can recall from the previous video, I said the relationship between half-life and the decay constant is given by the formula. So this is how we find the half-life. This is the relationship between the half-life and the decay constant. We already have the decay constant there, so we simply substitute our values. 0.077. So the half-life is, punching that into my calculator, so the half-life is 9 half-lives. So that is the half-life for this question. Remember to like, subscribe, and ask your questions in the comment section. Thank you.